Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2.
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Ryan.
They used to call me Lightning. I was always quick to strike.
What happened?
Well, sometimes when you make plans, God laughs.
Okay.
And you know what else?
What's that?
I feel like y'all should listen to this. Welcome back, everyone, to the best music podcast on this side of the Mississippi. It's called Hey, Listen to This. I am Ryan Kearns.
And I am Matt Durzik.
And essentially what we do here is every week Matt and I take turns just, discussing an album that we pick apart track by track. We can go as in-depth as we want to, or we can be like, meh, song's not for me, let's move on. So the last two episodes, we went into Korea to learn about K-pop, and now that me and Matt are 100% fluent in the language of K-pop, we decided to change things up this week. So Matt, what are we doing this week?
This week we are returning to the good old U.S. of America, and we are delving into the 2010 release by one Toby Keith called Bullets in the Gun. And to join us on this trip, we have my girlfriend, Rachel.
Hi.
And Rachel, I think you're the only person in this room who has seen Toby Keith live, correct?
Yes, I have seen him twice.
Yes.
Yes, the first time I was 5 rows back from the stage.
Ooh.
Yes. And had to go to band camp the next day. Hearing was not there. It was not fun.
Hearing's optional after that kind of thing. So.
This is true. And then the second time, I was in the grass to see him.
Yeah.
And it smelled like a lot of grass.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah. The Toby Keith fans know how to party.
Yeah.
That they do.
So, and now this man, this Toby Keith, if you have not heard of him, was a country music artist from about 1993, pretty much up until his death earlier this year, 2024. And his career had a lot of different stages. Started out as your sort of typical 90s country singer after working in the oil rigs of Oklahoma where he lived, and also had a very brief career as a semi-pro professional football player.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
the more you know, right?
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
He was a player.
He did his research, man.
I guess so.
I mean, I kind of did. I mean, that's just something I knew. But he, I guess the team he played for was called the Oklahoma Drillers of some semi-pro league in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then he got into country music.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, for a while, he was very much in the same old. Like, early on, there were some songs that were a little different. Like in a lot of times in the era of Garth and Brooks and Dunn, like, Toby was a little bit more guyish, to put it mildly. Like, there were songs like You Ain't Much Fun, or A Little Less Talking, A Lot More Action, or He Ain't Worth Missing, that were very guy-centric in a sense. He did a Southside too, songs like Upstairs Downtown, or one of my all-time favorites, probably my favorite from him, which is Wish I Didn't Know Now. But throughout the 90s, he was pretty much just a pretty standard country artist. Plus, he either wrote or co-wrote most of the songs himself. But that being said, he was always kind of molded into the country scene, like on the national scene, especially towards the late 90s with albums like Dreamwalkin', where after a while he was just like, I can't do this anymore. So he ends up signing with DreamWorks at the turn of the century. His first album, How Do You Like Me Now, sort of reestablished himself as sort of this sort of raw, emotional, sort of very macho country singer. And then, of course, September 11th happens, and then it turns into a patriotic version of what I just said. So that's how it was throughout the majority of the 2010s, or throughout the 2000s, I should say. And around this time, 2010, he sort of pulls back a little bit. He pulls back the patriotism, I think, a little bit, but no, you don't think so, Rachel?
No, not really.
No. Because I noticed on this album there really wasn't a whole lot of rah patriotism. There's a couple albums that are like that.
Yeah, but not this album or his Hope on the Rocks album. There's not much patriotism.
Yeah.
But he still got it there.
Oh, I'm sure he still got it there. He's still that guy. He's just not singing about it as much.
Not putting a boot in anybody's ass.
No. So that brings us to 2010, where he releases Bullets in the Gun, which went to number 1 on the Billboard 200, despite not having a single top 10 country hit.
I didn't know that.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of remarkable considering, like, I don't know, like, earlier on, not earlier on, but, like, you know, like, the phase of the career that Toby Keith just came out of, like, he was hit after hit after hit, like, you know, so for him to have a number 1 album on the Billboard 200 without, like, a hit,
Yeah.
that speaks to the quality of, well, I don't think it would speak to the quality, more so the devotion of the fan base that he has.
It is, but it's also, unfortunately, a testament to how weak the record industry was becoming at the time. Because I think I saw something that said, like, the number of albums he sold in the first week for Bullets in the Gun to get to number 1 was around 76,000, and that's it.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot,
Yeah.
especially, you know, we grew up in the days of, you know, Backstreet Boys and Britney and NSYNC, and, you know, they could release, you know, 1 million copies of their album in a week, and that would be considered weak.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have Taylor Swift now doing what she's doing at the top of the charts.
Yeah.
For those of you who can't watch the video feed, Rachel is making sick faces at the very mention of Miss Taylor Swift. Or perhaps the future Mrs. Travis Kelce. Anyway.
Moving on.
Now, before we get into the album itself, Ryan, what was your exposure to Toby Keith before this episode?
So my exposure to Mr. Keith was essentially when he came out with the song "How Do You Like Me Now." Around that time, I was entering in my I don't want to say brief country phase, but it was a pretty country centric for a little bit. And then I pivoted off to something completely different. I think I went into like my classic rock phase after that, but backing up on there. So How Do You Like Me Now and all the big hits that he had, like that was my exposure to him. And that's essentially it. Like, when you said that this was the album that we were going to cover and I took a look into it, I'm like, I don't know any of these songs. So I was kind of excited because I was just like, oh, hey, I know this artist, and I'm familiar with his sound. I'm curious to see like what songs, how these songs are gonna, unfold. And also with this album here, we have those 4 live tracks that I didn't realize. I mean, until like we'll get to it when we get to it, but like they're actually covers, and they're pretty well done covers at that too. So it just seemed like a good time for me. So yeah,
awesome. So,
how about you, Rachel?
So for me, it was my friend Caitlin in high school because she was obsessed with him. So she actually got a Ford. It was an F-150. She still has it. The name is Toby. She's actually the first one that I went to the first concert with.
Yeah.
So it was kind of her doing that got me involved in him. So, because I didn't listen to much country, because that's not what I grew up on music-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember what I grew up on music-wise, because my dad listened to anything from rock till I don't even know, and that was mainly Christian music for me as a kid.
Right.
So, yeah, Caitlin kind of introduced me to him, and just fell in love with him.
Yeah, and like there's something to be said about like going to a concert of a band or artist that you're kind of vaguely familiar with, and you just falling in love with that performance and falling in love with that artist. I mean, that's how I got my relationship with Green Day going, because like me and my high school buddy Mike, we went to go see them do their 21st Century Breakdown tour, and I'm like, I know them, and then like they put on such a phenomenal show. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. So, and after that, like they just became a main staple in my my rotation going forward. So, but and Matthew, what's your relationship with Toby Keith?
Probably about the same as yours in a sense, because while I was listening to a lot more country growing up, I really didn't like I knew of some of Toby Keith's songs, like the ones I mentioned, He Ain't Much Fun, or Should Have Been a Cowboy, but I wasn't like so familiar with him on the, like, to me he was one of the ones that like when I grew up, it was pretty much, there was like Garth Brooks, Shania Twain, and then everybody else. And Toby Keith at the time fell into the everybody else category.
Yeah.
And granted, like, the time I stopped listening to country was probably around the time that I Want to Talk About Me came out. So that's, again, my exposure to him was sort of relatively, oh, he's Toby Keith. Cool. His songs are alright. I like them.
Yeah.
But I never really like put like too much into that. And then just as I kind of got back into country over the last decade or so, like, I listened to all those songs and it's like, oh yeah, this is actually some really good stuff. And of course, having been with Rachel for almost 2 years now, that has been reconfirmed in a sense.
There we go. And before we kick it off with Bullets in the Gun, like, why this album out of all the albums?
So for me, Hope on the Rocks is my ultimate favorite album of this. But Bullets in the Gun, I told Matt to pick which one because I didn't care.
Yeah.
But I like this album because it was my junior year of high school, and it was the first concert I went to. I literally went to this concert. So I like this album. I think it's a really good album. Out of all of his albums, I'd say probably this one's my favorite.
Okay, cool. So you have that kind of personal connection, like, hey, this is the album that he toured on.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I can think of that, so, cool. All right. Ready to get at her?
Let's do it.
All right, so Bullets in the Gun. Who wants to kick it off? Who wants to fire away?
I will start it off. I will start the album review with the album opener and the title track, which is Bullets in the Gun. Very much a strong, solid album opener. The guitar intro was reminiscent of U2, I would think, in a sense. Sort of that little echo delay thing going on.
Yeah.
You can imagine, just viewing a highway in the desert, and the air's doing that weird thing it does when it's too hot outside. And then after that, just goes into this long story about, this guy and his woman being on the run from whatever it is, whether it be the law or their past lives, whatever the case is. It's just a real nice driving tune to start the album out.
Yeah, like, dude, like, when I hit play on this album for the first time, like, that was my instant thought, too. I'm like, hey, this is an excellent opening track. I mean, like, it definitely sets the scene right away with, like, this big open road country feel. And it kind of does set the scene. There's not so much thematic elements in terms of, like, the rest of the album, but like a good portion of this album is talking about like relationships. So this is Toby talking about like, hey, this is who he was before he met this girl. They used to call him Lightning. He was always quick to strike. And then he met this girl and like everything changed. And I feel like whenever you were talking about them being on the run from something, I feel like whenever they met in this world here, they decided to do like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing. Like they were running from the law, not from any sort of like past or anything like that. So
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on what the one line is, but the money in the bag gets shot up, and I feel like that's more of them running from the law and how he was kind of not the badass at the beginning of the song, but he met her and then she changed kind of where he was at in life, and they just, I would agree with Ryan, they pulled a Bonnie and Clyde type thing, so.
Yeah.
And I will say about this song in particular, the chorus is very big. Really does like really drive in that open country feel. I can really dig it. I'm a sucker for big choruses.
Oh yeah, same here.
And then, like an interesting musical element that I picked up here is you have the opening verse where it's basically him talking about meeting this girl. you have that first chorus, and then after that, the instrumentation still goes up to that elevated level. Like, it's almost like, hey, things have changed now. Things are more intense. So I definitely picked up on that. And that was kind of a cool little thing there.
Yeah, and like you said, it doesn't really follow through for the rest of the album. Like, this is sort of the outlier track right away.
Yeah.
Where you're just thinking, okay, this is a song about Toby Keith being a cowboy.
Yeah.
You know, sort of in the Wild West or, you know, somewhere down along the border, trying to get away from everything. And does he talk about this the rest of the album? Is that who he is the rest of the album? No and no. But that's okay. Because, again, country has a long history of guys pretending to be cowboys, and if we're not going to knock them for that then, we're not going to knock Toby for that now.
Huh.
I do. I think Toby's a legitimate cowboy, though.
Yeah.
Something tells me that he was a legitimate cowboy.
Yeah, but probably not in the same toting guns and...
I wouldn't put it past him.
I wouldn't have put it past him either, but we'll get to why I think that may not be true later on.
Okay.
Cool. So we ready to move on to somewhere else?
Let's go somewhere else.
All right. So I will kick this one off. So we go from like a very open country rock feel to more of a country bluesy kind of feel with this track here. And it was definitely a change up. And I was digging it I like the change up. I feel like it was a well earned transition there. The opening verse here, like, one thing that I love about country music as a whole is it definitely does tell a story. This song basically, like, at least kicking off, Toby is going to a bar to get drunk to drown his sorrows. Like, the lyrics literally read, "Order me a butt and a shot of Black Label, close this place down once again, sitting here wishing you would walk right in, down my shot, and shot my beer." So, like, you know, you can tell that he's really down in the dumps right now.
Yeah, and again, talking about grand traditions in country music, this is another one. Just getting drunk in a bar and drowning your sorrows and wondering where it all went wrong. Honestly, this song didn't stick out to me too much. Like, I thought it was a solid song. His voice sounds a lot different on this track than it does on Bullets in the Gun.
Yeah.
Like, he sounds... obviously he sounds more somber because he has to.
Yeah.
At the same time, he also sounds a little more polished, if that makes any sense.
I can get behind that, yeah.
I wasn't like, again, this track like wasn't a big standout to me. I thought it was fine. I said it had like a late 90s, early 2000s kind of sound to it. But aside from that, I really don't have anything else to add aside from what you already said. Not my favorite track on the album, but it's solid. It's fine.
Yeah, this isn't one of my favorite tracks on this album. And I understand that he had to do the somber act to it, but I don't know. Not one of my favorites on it.
One thing I will say, because I have a nitpick here.
Oh gosh.
No, incredibly nitpicky. My brain is so. So the chorus, it just seems a little disconnected in its messaging, and I might have been reading a little bit too much into it, considering that it is, what it's supposed to be intended. But the chorus reads, "As long as I got that neon light shining like a beacon in the night, I know I can make it downtown by myself, because if you don't know where you are going, you might end up somewhere else." Like, it kind of, I can see where he wants to, like, lean into it, be like, hey, sometimes if you don't know where you're going, life can take you somewhere. But it just, I don't know. I feel like the wording could have been a little bit better.
Yeah. I don't know if the neon light is the right wording to that. Because I guess if you're drunk enough, and a neon light is what you would follow because you're going to the next bar. But.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole idea of a neon light being sort of the guiding light. I mean, Brooks and Dunn did that to perfection 19 years earlier. So for Toby to try it here, doesn't quite land as hard. Do you know what song I'm talking about, Ryan?
No.
Neon Moon by Brooks and Dunn. It's one of the greatest country songs of all time. You'll thank me later.
Okay. I'll add it to my, hey, listen to this later. But no, like one thing I will to wrap up the song though, like nitpick aside, like this really he's very good at storytelling here. Like chorus is decent enough, sound wise. The opening verse and then the second verse is where he's basically talking about getting home and dealing with heartbreak. He paints a decent enough picture. So overall, decent enough song. Is it as good as Bullets in the Gun? Unfortunately not. Are there other songs in this album where Toby goes into that more somber feel and he does it very well? I would say so. Absolutely. But that being said, ready to move on to Trailerhood?
Let's move on to Trailerhood. Now, this song is one of the more interesting songs of the album. This is going to go back to the point that Rachel was asking about earlier, because to me, this feels more like what Toby Keith is than Bullets in the Gun. Because this is just a song about living in a trailer park, going to next door, playing poker, and everybody's just sort of outside doing their thing. And I think it feels very accurate. I feel like Toby could not have written this song from a perspective of, I wonder what it's like living in a trailer park. No, he's done this.
Man.
Like, he's done this, or if not, was doing this at the time. Well, probably not doing that at the time. He was probably rich enough to not be in the trailer parks at the time. But he knows about it, so, growing up in Oklahoma, there were probably a lot of trailer parks like this. Maybe he has some relatives out there. I mean, who doesn't have relatives that live out in a trailer park? I know I do. But yeah, it's very much that's just sort of sit outdoors, wave to your neighbor, be yourself type of vibe. And I think he nails it on the song. This is a fun song.
You know what the song kind of reminds me of in terms of subject material and everything like that?
What's that?
Up on Cripple Creek.
Kinda does, yeah.
Yeah, it has kind of funky little element. So there is one line on here that I was just like, yeah, that is definitely a redneck line. The grabbing a six pack because there's a tornado coming. Oh my goodness. And the guitar solo in this song is pretty fun. I think it's was there a solo in Bullets in the Gun?
I don't remember.
I'm not sure if there was.
Okay, so
if there was, it was very much it was very faint and not out in the open.
Yeah.
So if none of us can remember, it doesn't exist.
Yep.
So yeah, fun guitar solo. This song. It's songs like this you can see that this is Toby just having fun, and just really digging into that whole country feel. Like you said, he's basically done this. He's lived this life before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would compare this song to either Wacky Tobacco or Red Solo Cup of his. Just the fun, upbeat. So, because that's what he likes to do, is the upbeat stuff. I mean, he's good at the somber stuff and all that other junk, but yeah, I'd say this is probably a good comparison to Wacky Tobacco or Red Solo Cup.
Yeah, probably Red Solo Cup more so, because that's, I mean, just very... Red Solo Cup sounds like something that would be played live at the trailer park.
This is true. The Red Solo Cup he wrote that more on a dare, because they dared him to write any song about a cup, and that's what he chose.
And it became the biggest hit of the 2010s for him.
Yeah, nice. And just one last thing I'll say about this song here, and then we can move on to In a Couple of Days. I love how the instrumentals do play well with the subject material. They bounce off of each other pretty well there. So, so ready to move on in a couple of days?
In a couple of days.
So...
Okay, I'll see you guys in a couple of days then.
Hey! Roll credits.
So... we go back into somber, very serious Toby in this track here, and I'm absolutely here for it, man. This is my favorite song off the album, believe it or not. So yeah, the way that he just sets the scene, talk about how he could have quit his job and let his beard grow out. Another sad old story that you would hear about, but in he essentially got blindsided by this heartbreak. And I really do love the chorus, more so for the lyrics about how he's talking about like, hey, why don't you come around when the swelling goes down? It's kind of a different take on the whole heartbreak trope. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I love how this song sounds. The vocals I think are very strong from Toby here. I love the interplay between the accordion and the guitar. It's just a very heartfelt, soft, nice, passionate. I wouldn't even say breakup song. More of a I'll be ready when I'm ready song.
Man.
And it just sounds so good.
Man.
Rachel?
This is probably my second favorite song on this album. We have not gotten to my favorite song on this album, but we will. It's coming. But I don't know. The way he sings this song just kind of solidifies for me that that's what Toby Keith does. I mean, I don't know how I fully want to word that because I sound like an idiot. But anyways, I don't know. He just... It's him. I feel like he's got the upbeat stuff, but he does this song really well.
One thing that I want to draw the comparison to, because I feel like I know what you're trying to get at. So when we did our Phoebe Bridgers episode, I described like how Miss Bridgers doesn't really have that big of a vocal range, or like she doesn't have vocal chops, but the way she's able to portray herself sincerely and she's able to draw in the listener, that makes her one of my favorite singers.
Yeah.
So that might be what, again, I don't want to be putting words in your mouth, but I want to try to help out a friend here.
I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. And what I also like is the fact that he's now, we went from, okay, the trailer hood, and I feel like that's him back home, and now we're here, and he's finally starting to get over his heartbreak, and it's kind of working. So he's telling a story throughout this entire album.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, but at the same time, not what I'm trying to get at.
All good here. There are no wrong answers here. So, anyways, we have anything. Well, one thing I will say though is the guitar solo in here does its job well enough. It's not too flashy, but I mean, it does what it needs to do. Yeah, like I said, overall, really like the song. I never heard this side of Toby Keith before because, like you guys heard, I only knew him from "How Do You Like Me Now?" and like that big, like fun country stuff. Like I didn't know that he could do stuff like this. So
right, and then he's. And to be fair, the stuff that he did like that, whether it was How You Like Me Now or Red Solo Cup, sort of was the predominant stuff that he was known for throughout his career. Even courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, I would throw in there too.
Yeah. Cool. Ready to move on to Think About You all of the time?
Yes.
All right.
So I'll talk about this one. To me, this is just a straightforward country song, like very no frills about it.
Yeah.
It's almost too simple to even talk about, really.
Well, I'm gonna jump in here if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I did appreciate the subject material because this is him trying to move on from that heartbreak and being like, hey, just so you know, like, I have this new girl. She's totally good looking, and she drives a convertible, and she likes to laugh a lot. She's totally flirtable, and he's trying to convince her, like, hey, yeah, I don't miss you, but I still think about you all the time. And then he hears about how he found out that she has another guy. And he hears about a couple things, and he's just like, well, nope, just not going to pay attention to that. And it just kind of just goes into that kind of feel. So,
yeah, I don't know. Thinking about you all the time, I don't know. I got nothing on this one.
Nothing in a good way or nothing in a bad way?
Both.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's just kind of there for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. One couple other things that I'm going to note about this, and then we can go on to Kissin' in the Rain. So I feel like this song is basically just a jam session. Like after Toby does his 2 verses and the chorus in between, like it's basically him just vamping on the idea of like not missing her. And I will say though, it's a good enough song. Could have gone further along with the subject material, maybe adding another verse in there.
Yeah.
Just diversifying, because maybe this is me coming out as hey, I'm not that much of a pop country fan, but or even a pop fan to begin with. But let me get to my point here, where people just vamp on the same subject material for a while. Mm-hmm. My brain just kind of goes, no, hey, look at that. I'm just gonna it's very hard for me.
Yeah. I know what you mean by that. Where the tone of the song just feels a little too down the middle to really have any sort of emotion towards, which is fine.
Yeah.
I like how the song sounds, with the lone exception being the way it ends, just sort of that very slow drum fade out, followed by that really bizarre harmonica hit at the very end.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, I think the song sounds good. And you mentioned the vamping they do instrumentally towards the end. That was very much a 90s country thing. Actually, I would probably even go 80s and 90s, maybe early 2000s. Some songs I can name off the top of my head. Papa Love Mama and Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up by Garth Brooks. Been There, and also We Tell Ourselves by Clint Black. Like, they would just, the last minute would just be everybody in the band taking a solo, where it was the violinist, or the piano, or the guitar. And that I think that's what they were trying to do here. Just sort of a traditional country thing, like everybody gets a solo. And granted, there's elements of that, like jazz and rock, and even the Beatles did that with The End.
Yeah.
But here, it's just, kind of there. So, I mean, I like this song, but it's not like a, great song to me. It's just,
It's not a what song to you?
Please clip that and just send it over to me, because that's going to be your text tone from me now on.
Noted.
Okay. Anyways, Kissing in the Rain.
Kissing in the Rain.
Kissing in the Rain. So we go back into the big open field, but not the same kind of field that we get in Bullets in the Gun. It's more of, this is like the big love song off the album. And this is another favorite of mine. The chorus is infectious, like the way that it just cascades down, and the storytelling element about the traditional, hey, the girl's parents don't like the guy, and that kind of trope. It does play out well. It is cliche, but the way that the subject material is presented and just the overall compositional elements of here, it's good for my ears. I can 100% get behind it.
So I'm going to disagree with you hard on this one.
Oh, wow.
I would say this is probably my least favorite track on the album.
Wow. So I guess you don't want to be kissing in the rain then.
That's not precisely what I said, but...
At least not to the song.
Right.
Yeah. For me, it's not a terrible song by any stretch, but there's a few things about it I don't like, particularly the staccato guitar at the beginning is a little bit menacing to me. I think the song overall is just kind of loud and produced. Nothing really, like his voice doesn't stand out as much, and I tend to be very much... against sort of those real compressed and condensed type of everything up front type of production there.
Okay.
I agree with you that the hook is solid, except I don't like the little start where it goes kiss in the rain, kiss it in the rain. It's just
I love that, man.
You do?
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, we're all allowed to have our opinions here. This is why we have this podcast.
No,
here.
Matt's not allowed to have his own opinion. That's against the rules. I think for you, don't I?
No comment.
Far from the truth.
I think this is it's an okay track, but compared to everything else, it's just it was just too much of it I didn't like to be like, eh.
Well, that's fine.
I like this song. It's, again, not my favorite, but I like it just because I like the slow movements of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a quick song like some of the other stuff he's done, but it just kind of, to me, feels, I don't want to say it's romantic, but I feel like it's more of a romantic song than anything else he's got on this album.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and I have nothing against the romantic part about it. It's just
Lies and slander.
I just, again, I think it's a little too overproduced for me. But if it's somebody else's favorite song, I'm not gonna be all angry. It's like, no, no.
We're not in college anymore. Like, we've matured.
No.
Yeah.
No need to unseal those tapes.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yes, you do.
They're buried. So, yeah. That being said, I feel like we're ready to go on to Drive It On Home.
Drive It On Home. Now, this track is probably one of my favorites on the album. I love the fast sound of it. This is something, again, very late 90s, or even mid-90s, early 2000s. Just fast-paced driving song. The guitars are very good. There's something about it. Like there's songs I can think of off the top of my head, like again, the aforementioned "Papa Loves Mama," or even "Be My Baby Tonight" by John Michael Montgomery, that were just meant to be fast, turned up to 11, and blaring down the road with the windows open. This is one of those songs, and I can't really get into the lyrical content of it because it's basically just drive it on home.
Yeah, there's not much lyrical content to this song.
Yeah. So.
Something tells me you didn't like it, Ryan.
Yeah.
Really?
This is my second least favorite song off the album.
Oh.
So, I wrote down Mumford and Sons.
Really?
Yeah. So, I can get behind the whole, feel behind it, but the lyrical content, I'm gonna just spitball, just as good lyrical content here. Are you ready?
Okay.
White microphone, green hoodie, glasses, window, green grass, toasted raviolis. That's how I felt with this, man.
Wow.
Maybe not as good because I had just named things I literally just saw, but think about it. I'm pulling up behind them, son. If you can't find them, grind them. What does that mean?
Mr. Keith, if you were alive still, I have some questions.
I mean, yes, you can get behind vibes of songs. There's certain songs that I definitely do appreciate where I pop into the vibes a little bit more. But yeah, no, not this song here, man. So
what's the line from Blades of Fury?
Oh,
the one that Kanye sampled.
yeah.
No one knows what it means, but it's exciting.
It gets the people going.
That's kind of how I feel about this track.
Yeah, see, for me, this song, I'm the person that I've got my windows all down, and this song is blasted just because I think it's a fun song.
Yeah.
But I can see where you're coming from with it, Ryan, because it's just basically we're just driving on home. We're doing what now? We're going to continue to drive on home? Cool!
Well, he could have expanded upon the lyrics. Again, welcome to, hey, listen to this. I'm the lyrics guy here.
and to be fair, compared to the likes of Bullets in a Gun or In a Couple of Days, or even Kiss the Rain, I'll admit, has probably better lyrics overall.
Yeah.
This one is pretty much a nothing burger
when
it comes to lyrics, but the music alone just does it for me.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. When it comes to Drive It On Home, is it a song that I am this offends me, get out of my ears? No, but I'm judging it based on the other songs in the album. There's one song that's coming up in a few that I'm gonna get on a soapbox to preach about.
It is probably my favorite song on this
Yes,
album.
it probably is.
Yeah. So, But that being said, like overall, yeah, I just said like my thoughts on this. I don't want to keep being the master of redundancy here.
I wouldn't, if I was the person that put this album together, like order wise, I would not have put Driving On Home where it's at. I would have probably put it earlier in the album because it's like you said, it's a very, I don't want to say boring song, but it's kind of a boring song.
Nothing burger.
Yeah, a nothing burger. So yeah, I probably wouldn't have put it where it's at in the album.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Ready to move on to Ain't Breaking Nothing?
Let's do it.
So, with how we've been rolling with this is probably your least favorite song.
Yeah, I would agree.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Someone better pick up that phone because I just called it. That's amazing how that worked out. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Again, we haven't gotten to my favorite song on this album yet, but yeah, no, Ain't Breaking Nothing. I don't know. I don't love it. I feel like it's not Toby.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like him. It's just a weird song to me.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think it's a weird song too. And to me, what makes it weird is the fact that, like, and I'm going to contradict myself a tiny bit here, because how the last song was very up-tempo, and I like up-tempo stuff like that. This is up-tempo for no good reason whatsoever.
Yeah, it didn't need to be.
It's a breakup song.
Yeah.
Why does a breakup song need to sound this up-tempo and, I wouldn't say positive, but cheery, but it sounds weird.
Because I guess, according to Toby Keith, breakup songs need to be cheery.
Yeah. I would say maybe sonically, like the way that this was maybe trying to come across was more like, you can leave, I don't care. Like, I've been heartbroken before. Just really going to that country rock feel. I love how we're all going to agree that this song is not good. Like, my nitpick is, like, the chorus gets written so hard in here. Like, come on, man. Like, change it up. Like, if you're... add a jam session in there.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness. Like, or just cut it in half. Oh my goodness. But, yeah.
Yeah, this is a song I probably would have left off the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. It's just again, if Driving On Home is a nothing burger, these are the nothing fries.
Man. All right, so we ready to move on to, is that all you got?
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm gonna let you lead this one off, Matthew.
All right, is that all you got? I really like the song. It doesn't stand out to be as much as something like In a Couple of Days, but it's very much in that same vein. It has a breezy sun go down type of tone to it. It's kind of like what you would hear in Blake Shelton's Sangria or One Night at a Time by George Strait. Just very written on the beach type of sound with the sun going down, which I really like a lot. I also note that this is written by a different songwriting team than the rest of the album.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that might explain why it sounds a little different too.
Yeah.
Again, this very much feels like something you would hear, again, I say it over and over again, late 90s, early 2000s, and that's kind of how it sounds here. Aside from that, again, it's fine. I like the sound of it, but lyrically, I wasn't like too blown away by it.
Yeah.
This is a song I like to, oddly enough, clean my room to.
Really?
Yes. I don't know why, but I don't know. The song, again, I don't hate it, but it's, again, not my top favorite.
Okay. This is... I'm having a hard time describing this song. Like, it's not the song that's, like, on the list. So, but, so, this is another song about Keith getting over a heartbreak. However, something that I noted here is that the way that and this gives way to you talking about the different songwriting team, how he kind of rides that theme out and that chorus out and like vamps on it, but they do different compositional tricks with it that keeps it fresh. That's what he could have done with like a couple of different things throughout the album and made it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Again, this is me being nitpicky. I'm a nitpicky kind of guy.
I can't believe you're nitpicking, Toby Keith. How dare you?
I know. But I mean, chorus pops up well enough. I do like the guitar solo, and yeah. Overall, it goes into the middle burger of the album. Like, you know, I don't hate it. It's a
medium rare.
Yeah, it's medium rare. It's not. It's not a. Yeah, I don't know what this. I don't eat meat, so I don't know the sliding spectrum there. But like, it's not the cream of the crop like Bullets in the Gun and not Bullets in the Gun. Kissing in the Rain and in a couple of days that I really do appreciate, but it's not at the bottom of the burger. So
right.
Overall,
it's not the bun.
It's not the bun. All right. So we're gonna move on to Get Out of My Car.
Let's go on to Get Out of My Car, and I'll start. I'll start because I feel I'm most in the middle on this one. So
you are the burger here.
I am the burger here. So this song is a song pretty much about a sloppy fling in the back of a car. And it's very in detail, and it's a decidedly male perspective here. I didn't hate this song, but at the same time, is it one I would go back to time and time again? Probably not. So I'll start there. Whoever wants to take next.
I'll let you go.
Oh, my, thank you, because this is my favorite song on the album. So I know Ryan hates this song.
I know it's coming. I knew it was coming.
I like the live version of this song better.
Yeah.
And I think you said it was probably on his Hope on the Rocks.
Yeah, it's on Hope on the Rocks.
So that the live version is what I like best. But this song just cracks me up.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait a minute. So you just had sloppy sex with somebody, and now you're kicking them out of your car. What the hell? That's not very nice, but okay. You do you, Toby.
Well, do they even have sex in the car?
I don't know.
Because I feel like this is him propositioning to do that after she just drinks all of his stuff.
Hold on. Fact checking you right there.
Okay.
You're right. You might be right.
Because he's saying we already kissed, we already danced.
The outro reads, I got out of my clothes, she got out of my car, what is up, babe? Bye-bye, boredom.
Okay, so technically they didn't have sex.
Yeah. Well, no, I got out of my clothes, she got out of my car, so they might have had sex.
They might have.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like the lyrics of it are fun. It's who Toby Keith is.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite songs.
Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna play nice.
No, you mean that's fine. We're all allowed to have different opinions.
You said you were gonna get on your soapbox, Weeks.
Soapbox is yours.
Alright. So I always start with the good. Like, sonically, this is a good song. Like, you know, it's a fun song, it's a funky little song, it's a country rock song that, even, like, lyrically, he doesn't beat in the subject material like he does in, like, other songs off this album. But the subject material kills it for me. Like, I'm just gonna be very blunt. Like, the first time I heard this, I was like, oh, so this is date rape.
What's funny is this is the song that Matt and I both went, oh, this ought to be interesting to figure out what Ryan's opinion on it is.
Yeah. In fact, it's kind of why I chose this album over Hope on the Rocks, because I'm thinking, because I wasn't sure if we were going to do the live tracks on either album.
Yeah.
So I figured, if to get you experience, Get Out of My Car.
Yeah.
This is the one to go with.
I'm only just gonna say two lyrics, because I'm not going to go off the whole lyrics sheet here, because, I mean, there's lyrics that say, what would it hurt, pull off that shirt, babe, we already come this far, and I'm like, my woke brain is just like, oh my god.
Stop. That's why I say it's a decidedly male perspective, which I'm not the biggest fan of either, but at the same time, I at least understand it.
This is in 2010, though, so he could get away with this before the Me Too movement kicked off.
If he had recorded this in 2020, he would have not changed a single word.
Oh, I know that. I know, but he also would have probably gotten multiple death stares and all that other stuff.
No, he wouldn't have. Not his concerts.
No, but in general, because women...
Like, if he had performed this at the CMAs, he might have, but...
Yeah.
True.
Now, that being said, I will say the one thing about the song I did not like, at least for this version of the song, and it kind of piggybacks off your saying that the live version's better. I like the live version's backup vocals better because there are other voices. I don't like him backing himself up. It sounds a little too corny and kind of weird, and just sort of adds fuel to the misogynistic fire that's been placed in the song.
The reason I like the live version is because... to me, you get the picture of being at his concert with this song. And in the live version, he says, this song's never going to be on the radio.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yet it's on your album. So how is this not on the radio, but it's on your album?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, the radio's weird.
True.
Yeah. All right. I think we've said our piece about Get Out of My Car.
I think so.
That was a really pathetic...
I think he fulfilled his...
I mean, I said this is promoting date rape.
Plus
this is true.
Yeah.
Plus, we're trying not to get demonetized.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay.
I mean, the only other lyric thing that I'm going to say real quick is do something quick or I'm going to do it myself. And I'm like, when I heard that, I was just like, I need an adult.
Yet I am the adult.
But no, like, I mean, I can go on and on, but like, you know, this does have a certain, like, you know, people do like this song, obviously. I'm looking at somebody who does right now. But my brain just freaks out whenever I hear this. And now, granted, like, there's going to be songs that I like. I mean, I played one song for you a little bit ago called Equip Sunglasses, and you probably were like, okay. I mean, practically, my wife does the same reaction, too, so...
I mean, I can see why that band is opening up for Green Day, but...
Yeah. But that being said, like, you know, yeah, moving on. So we are getting into the live tracks here, and one thing that I will bounce it over to Rachel before we cover these 4 songs here. Whenever I did do the pivot, and I was just like, hey, we're including the live tracks, why were you like, yes?
Because I like the fact that he's one of the few artists that puts his live music on his albums.
Yeah.
And for those people that probably not always necessarily could afford to go to his concerts, so you get to kind of experience the concerts through his live stuff on the albums.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. His live... I like his voice, so...
Yeah.
And he's got some pretty good live stuff, too, so...
Man, one thing that, when we kicked this review off, and how you basically said, like, you fell in love with his music via his live performance, that kind of clicked something in my brain. I'm like, oh... cool, like, he probably puts on a killer live performance. That's why he probably included these 4 tracks here, which they're not original tracks, but this is him just saying, hey, this is what I can do. And there's one track off of these 4 here that I'm going to bounce off of one of you guys saying, like, there's something interesting that I discovered that I wanted to, like, you know, dig into. But that being said, moving on to the first live track for us to discuss, 11 months and 29 days. So I'll kick this one off.
Okay.
So this is a cover, as far as I know, of a Johnny Paycheck song. Mm-hmm. Am I correct? Yes. Yeah. Genius.com for the win. So over, like, not, like, with these songs here, you really can't go into lyrical content because that's not the point. He's covering a track. Yeah. So you want to go over the performance.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. You guys can say I'm full of crap. I mean, I kind of am, but, you know.
I wouldn't say you're full of crap.
I agree with it.
And that's why we make good co-hosts. But no, like this song here, I really dig the performance of it. It really goes hard in the paint with the bluesy kind of feel. The solos on here, the guitar solo, the harmonica solo, they're absolutely fantastic. Yeah, not much else I can say. Like, I really do dig this cover a good deal. I always appreciate it when an artist can dig into their influences and just have fun with it.
I agree. I think this is a nice, fun track, and it's very bluesy.
Yeah.
Which on a country album is never a bad thing.
No.
Because there's a lot of stuff that goes back to like the early honky tonk songs of the 80s and 90s, and even some of the bluesier stuff of the 70s and earlier on. Yeah, I really don't have much to add. I agree the solos are good. I think Toby sings really well on this as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, and again, it's a cover, so you're not really... Well, we'll get to some of my thoughts on another cover, but as far as it just being a good old-fashioned, play and sing your ass off type of song, it's solid. I like it.
Yeah. I think they cover this album really, or this song really well. It's, like you were saying, it's a bluesy type song, and the fact that he can kind of go all over the place with it, and you're just generally, and it's just him covering a song. It's kind of nice to know that he's not the only one, or the artist that wrote the song isn't the only one that can sing it. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, heck, like, one huge cover that I could think of, diverting off the Toby Keith path for like a quick second whenever you mentioned, like, hey, the original artist who wrote it doesn't necessarily have to be the one who's known for it. I mean, like, heck, the most well-known cover in the world that I know of, at least, the one that Johnny Cash did of 9 Inch Nails is Hurt, where like Trent Reznor said, like, no, hey, that's Johnny's song now, it's not mine. So there's something to be said about that. So
Yeah.
Cool. So moving on to It's Been a Long Time Leaving, but I'll be a long time gone.
So this is the first of two songs that were written or co-written by Roger Miller. Of these four, he co-wrote this with Waylon Jennings.
Okay.
Now, I put in my notes that it's a cover question mark of a Waylon Miller tune.
I did the same thing!
Aw, so cute.
So, the reason I did is because, and I'm probably sure you did the same exact thing I did, because I was curious, like, what are the lyrics to this? And I looked them up, and they were not the same.
Yeah.
So, like, where did Toby get these lyrics from? Was there another cover that we're not aware of? I don't know.
Yeah.
But aside from that weird oddity, I thought it was good. I'd say this is another top tier cover.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's just sort of a nice little bluesy type of straightforward 4/4 type song. Has a bit more of a nuance to it. Yeah, it's weird. The words are a little different, but aside from that, the first couple times I heard this song, I didn't even think about that because I had never heard the original. Yeah. So if you haven't heard the original, that probably doesn't apply. But again, looking it up, it was kind of weird.
I was gonna say, how different are the lyrics?
Completely.
Okay, as I say, I've never heard the other version, so where Toby Keith pulled this from, then the world would never know.
I think it's kind of cool doing like a cover of a song, but completely changing up, like, at least I would have to go back into looking into like the lyrics and compare them, but like at least the verses were completely different. So
so then maybe he's just using the.
I think it was more the feel or anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say more the feeling than the lyrics. So he may have just rewritten the lyrics to the actual song.
That's could do that. So
yeah, I can get it. I mean, because he's not taking credit for it. He's he just these are the words I decided to come up with, but they get paid anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else as far as the song, or?
The guitar solo on here is really digging into that wah-wah effect, and I really do love it. Yeah, it's just a really groovy song. So
Yeah.
All right, chug a lug.
Chug a lug, chug a lug.
So this is, like Matt was saying, this is another cover of a Roger Miller song. Out of the 4 covers, this is my least favorite. Only because the performance isn't as, like, standout-ish.
Yeah.
It's just a fun song. It's just like I wouldn't say it goes as far as like a nothing burger. Maybe like, some nothing fries, but with like a little bit of like, seasoning on top. It's just like maybe like some like nice salt. Just like light salt.
It's not my least favorite. I think it's a straightforward cover. I mean, there's really not a whole lot that's spectacular about it aside from the sax work on, which I thought was really nice. I like the way that Toby sings it, although the key changes I could probably do without. Then again, that may have just been part of the original. I don't know. But yeah, aside from that, I think it's fine. I think it's a solid cover.
I wish I knew what the original sounded like, because, again, I've never heard the original, so not really anything to compare to. Yeah, this one's kind of more of a lackluster song of his that he sings. You're right, he doesn't really stand out on it. He doesn't not stand out, but it's not...
He does a solid job.
Yeah, he does. It's okay.
Yeah.
One random side tangent before we go into Sundown. One thing that I'm going to note about covers as a whole. So, I went to go see a band called Shinedown in concert probably like last year, like at the end of the summer. And one of their biggest songs is actually a cover of Leonard Skinner's Simple Man.
Okay.
And the gentleman who I was going to the concert with, Mike, again, he didn't even know that was a cover. So,
wow.
Well, not to take away from his musical education.
To say not that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, but like again, we're talking about going on the subject of like, hey, artists owning covers. Like again, not saying that Toby's trying to like rip off these covers or anything like that, but if this is all that you know of this version of the song, that's perfectly acceptable. So, yeah, just a little random tangent there. All right. We ready for it?
Yep.
Ready for Sundown.
Ready for Sundown. All right, so this is... I kicked off Chug a Lug. I'm going to let you kick off Sundown.
Yeah, so out of the 4, this is probably my least favorite of the 4.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think it's bad. I think it's solid. I think the guitar solo is pretty nice.
Yeah.
But, it's funny, we were just talking about, the idea of owning the original.
Yeah.
Whereas I think he does pretty solid on Chug a Lug. And does well on the other 2. This doesn't even come close to the original. I think there's something about the production of the original and the way that Gordon Lightfoot sings it that I think is so much better and deeper. Not that Toby Keith does bad, but this feels more just like covering a song to cover it. Like it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of depth to it.
Yeah.
Especially, it's sort of the same complaint I have about Ain't Breaking Nothing, where it just feels a little too up tempo and a little too. I wouldn't say smiley, but kind of cheerful and very like when you hear this version, that you tell they're having fun playing this song, which is fine. I have nothing against that, but this is not a fun song. This is a very sort of dark and brooding type of song, and for it to be like, yeah, we're playing Sundown, it's just like don't do that.
So, I didn't mind this cover. Again. I was vaguely familiar with the Gordon Lightfoot original because when I heard this on my first spin of the album, I was just like, wait a minute. I know this song. And it made me think about going back into the other Chug a Lug and the other covers because I didn't know those songs, obviously, because I'm not much of a country dude, unlike my counterpart over here. But, like, I don't know, like, one, I feel like it's a decent way to end the album. Again, like, at least in the studio tracks, Get Out My Car was the last song. But the reason why I included the 4, like, covers here, one of the 4 live tracks, is like on Discogs, like this is listed in the original track listing. It's not like, hey, this is the deluxe version. So this was, in my head, this is the end of the album. And it's a nice little like curtain call. Like, and this does play well into the live aspect, because in this cover you can hear how Toby's interacting with the crowd, trying to get them involved. So, yeah, overall, it's a kind of a low-key cover. I can dig it. Yeah.
Out of all 4 live songs, this one's my favorite. I have heard the original, and you're right. Toby's version is more upbeat, and that song should not be upbeat. But I like the way he sings it. To me, it reminds me more of a Trace Adkins kind of. He's got the low and the twang with it, so I like it. But
man, I didn't say I hated it.
I know, but you said it wasn't your favorite.
No.
So I don't know. It is. I like, out of all 4 live ones, this one's my favorite.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, we did it.
We did it.
Yay!
We discovered what the bullets in the gun were.
Yes. we shot open the bag and found what was inside.
Yeah. So we'll do ratings. Do you have a rating prepared?
Sure, I can pull one out of my butt.
Okay. I can probably guess what this rating's going to be, but you know. That being said, I'll go first.
Okay.
We'll do ratings, next album recommendations, and then we'll figure out what you have cooked up for part 2 of this 2-part saga that you have going on here.
Okay. Well, I won't even say it's a 2-part saga. It's just I get to choose the next 2 episodes. So
okay.
We may do something completely different for the next one.
We're gonna listen to Norwegian folk metal.
How is that different? I was gonna say going from white people music to white people music, that's not that much of a stretch.
Just other white people music.
Exactly.
So overall, I like when we started this episode, like you guys basically heard my experience with Toby Keith was, how do you like me now? Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. I want to talk about me. Like those fun big hits. I did enjoy my experience and digging into this album, because it's really nice just going into an album that you literally know none of the songs off, but you know the artist and you can see what they can offer. So this album does have really great moments, like Bullets in the Gun, In a Couple of Days, and Kissing in the Rain. Some half-baked moments, some decent moments, like Ain't Breaking Nothing and Drive It On Home. And then some really questionable choices there with Get Out My Car, considering the subject material.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, that being said, overall, before I give my score here, you know what this album kind of reminded me of with my experience listening to it?
What's that?
Yeezus.
Really?
'Cause really great moments, some questionable stuff, and one song that just stuck out like a sore thumb to me.
Alright, that's fair.
I get it, yeah.
So that means...
Although I will say you probably... I'll just ask this. Between I'm In It and Get Out My Car, which one are you choosing?
I'm choosing Death.
No, you must pick one. Death is not an option right now.
Well, okay, between the two, I would pick... No, it would be Death.
Still Death.
Option Death.
My body, my choice.
But that being said, I'm going to give this album the same rating I gave Yeezus, 6 out of 10.
Okay.
If it wasn't for Get Out of My Car, it would be up a little bit higher. But when that song came around, I'm like, nope, down.
I honestly thought you would have liked the Get Out of My Car song.
I thought this album was pretty solid. I'm kind of with you, Ryan. Like, there's a lot of good moments on the album, like Bullets in the Gun. For me, In a Couple of Days is up there, along with Think About You All the Time. I would probably say is sort of towards the middle. There's a couple moments like Kiss in the Rain. Unfortunately, I disagree with you on that one. That are sort of like meh, and then I feel like a lot of this album is kind of meh to me. like it's. I don't think there's a lot really any bad tracks except for maybe "Kiss in the Rain" and "Ain't Breaking Nothing." Everything else is pretty ranging from good to very good. Is this an album I would really like seek out time and time again? Not really. Not that I have to, because hello, how you doing, girlfriend? But again, I think it's a solid album. And realistically, again, going from the objective other ratings I gave the albums on this podcast, I'm gonna give this a 7.
Okay.
7 out of 10.
Cool.
So, the only reason I seek this album out is because, again, first concert I ever went to, so obviously I'm going to seek this album out. Yeah, there are definitely songs that are like, yes, this is amazing, and then there are other songs you're like, why is this on the album? Why did you do this to us, Mr. Keith? But I don't know. Honestly, I would probably give it maybe a 7.5, an 8.
Okay.
So, that's
fair.
Yeah. Cool. So, when it came to next album recommendations...
I'm curious as to where you're going to go with this.
This was the hardest thing that I ever had to do in this podcast in terms of, like, going from one album to the next. Because, like, I don't listen to pop country whatsoever. So, like, to tell you the rabbit hole that I went down, because, like, I feel like this will be excellent audio entertainment here.
Oh, gosh.
So, like, the first 2 albums that I wrote down were Stick Season by Noah Kahan or Zach Bryan's self-titled album. But then I listened to both of that, and I'm like, Noah Kahan's album's more folk, not country, so get out of my face. And then
get out of my car.
Yeah. And then Zach Bryan kind of leans into that folk, but he has a country element, but his is more sad boy country. And, like, while there's moments in this album, like, in a couple of days that have that sad moment, nothing, like, kind of compares to that despair that Zach Bryan's feeling right now. And then I was just like, okay, what are other country artists that I've listened to? Because I don't want to just be like, oh, I'm just going to Google, like, something really quick and listen to it, because I don't want to cheat. I tried to think about Sturgill Simpson, A Sailor's Guide to Earth. Not close enough in terms of that pop country scene. The album that I ultimately landed on was Mr. Misunderstood by Eric Church.
Good album.
The dealing with heartbreak and, like, the searching for, like, meaning while, like, just being a country album, that was the closest thing I can find without cheating. So, my official recommendation after a long soul searching here is Mr. Misunderstood by Eric Church.
Very nice, very nice. So, I'm going to do something I usually don't do with this, because my rule is to choose albums that I have listened to front to back.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that this time.
You're going to cheat?
I'm going to cheat.
After all that hard work that I did?
Well, no. I have listened...
Get out of my car!
No, I've listened to enough of this album to say that it's probably on the same vein. And again, I have Rachel to thank for this. So the album I'm going to recommend, because I've listened to probably most, if not all, of the tracks on it, just not in order, is Hope on the Rocks. Not the next album that Toby Keith released, but the album after that, from 2012. Very much in the same vein. A lot of heartbreak songs. I would say the live cuts are even better because were there any covers of the 4?
I don't believe so, no.
No, because I know he did Whiskey Girl, which is his.
Yep.
The live version of Get Out of My Car, which is better. And then there's songs like Hope on the Rocks, The Size I Wear. I'm trying to think what else is on that album.
Hope on the Rocks, The Size I Wear, Scat Cat, I Like Girls That Drink Beer, Get Got, Haven't Had a Drink All Day.
That's a good one.
Haven't Seen the Last of You, Cold Beer Country, Missed You Just Right, You Ain't Alone, Red Solo Cup, the Johnny Max remix is on
That's
there.
right.
Beers Ago is the Jason Nevins remix, Whiskey Girl is his, and the last song is Get Out of My Car.
Yeah, so if you liked if you liked Bullets of the Gun, you will like Hope on the Rocks.
Nice. All right, Rachel.
Oh, I'm supposed to do an album recommendation?
I mean, if you don't have an album recommendation,
okay.
or if you want to piggyback off of his,
I mean, honestly, I was gonna make the recommendation of Hope on the Rocks. I can't think of the Eric Church album. It sounds creepin'. I can't think of the album of what it's called though.
let me help out a friend here.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a achy breaky heart song or album, but it's still a decent album too.
Yeah. Maybe we'll review that album one of these days.
Chief, yes, that's 2000. That was the album that came out and kind of was big my senior year. So I like that song, or I like that album.
Nice,
Awesome.
cool. So that being said,
Well, first of all, before I announce where we're going to go next, Rachel, thank you
You're welcome.
for being on with us.
yes.
Oh, why, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on our show and like saying, hey, this is an album that I have an experience with, and I want to share it with you guys.
Yes.
So like we did with Jamie in the last episode, and like with her K-pop stuff, like, you know, yes, this is music that we're not familiar with, but it's the whole point of this show. Like, you know, hey, let's kind of like, you know, expose each other to like different realms of music that really mean a lot to us. So, one, thank you. So
You're very welcome. I'm glad you at least enjoyed it a little bit. Even though you did not like Get Out of My Car.
all good, all good. Will you be joining us for the next episode?
I don't believe so, unless I don't know what the boyfriend is picking. It depends.
No, he didn't tell you?
No, he did not.
Because I've been thinking about it. I'm thinking we're gonna go in the direction of the hip hop in the next episode.
Oh, the hippity hoppity.
Yes,
Why?
because I can and I like some of it.
Okay. Okay. Anyways, that's fair.
So I'm gonna give you 2 years, Ryan, to pick from, and whichever year you pick, we'll decide the album we're gonna listen
2
to.
years.
2 years.
Okay.
1988 or 2000.
Let's go 88.
1988?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to be discussing the album It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back by Public Enemy.
Oh, let's go! All right, cool. That being said, anything else we want to speak about with Mr. Keith here before we send us out here?
No, it's just sad that he has come and gone, and nobody gets to enjoy that music from him anymore. Or at least written music from him.
Yeah. Whenever I heard news about him passing, I don't want to compare the two because it's wrong to compare deaths, but it was almost like a Kobe Bryant moment where it's just like, that literally came out of nowhere. So.
Well, he had been sick for a while, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got stomach cancer in, I think, 2019 or 2020.
Yeah.
So he'd had it for a while. And they thought he was doing better, and then all of a sudden it was like, wait, he's dead? What?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to try to transition out of that because I'm the king of pivots here.
There you go.
Somber moment.
So, that being said, if you reached this point in the podcast, one, thank you. Two, you obviously liked what you heard, because I don't know too many people that would listen to probably, an hour and 20-minute long
Yeah, we're about an hour and 20 minutes.
podcast and just be like, no, I hate these guys. They're so stupid. Why did they do this?
Maybe it could be a cubicle over. You never know.
So, that being said, if you like what you heard, the best way that you can support me and Matt here is go onto your podcasting platform of choice. Follow us on there. Give us the highest rating that you can. If you're listening to this on the YouTubes, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment with your favorite emoji on this video. And if you're looking for other content and ways to support us otherwise, we do have other social medias. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. And if you want to write to us on more directly, we have an email, ttalisten@gmail.com. And also, last 3 episodes have been people suggestion like stuff to us. So like, if you guys are listening to us and you know us personally and you're like, hey, I really want you guys to cover this album. One, you don't necessarily have to be a co-host for the episode. Like, you can just say, hey, I want you to review, like, so-and-so by so-and-so. 100% we'll take any viewer request. But that being said, yeah. And for the last time in this episode, I am Ryan Kearns.
I'm Matt Durzik.
I'm Rachel.
And I think it's time to grab a 6-pack and a lawn chair because I hear a tornado coming.
Could be a storm surge.